But, yes, elevation through meditation is the subject. And when we say meditation, you can say arguably that anything we focus our minds on, that's a type of meditation. The basic idea of meditation is focusing the mind. Really to focus in a particular way spiritually, but in a broad sense. If you become absorbed in thinking of something, that's a type of meditation. The mind is focused. But unfortunately in day-to-day life, the mind is prone to focus on things, certainly things which are not spiritual, and sometimes things which are really detrimental, and just material things. When I was young, back in the good old days, the bad old days, there was a song, "Can't Get You Out of My Head." It's a type of meditation, because the mind is focused. The mind is focused. But really, when we talk about meditation, what meditation really is and should be, then it means to focus the mind spiritually and focus the mind on spiritual sound vibration. Sound is very powerful. In the Vedic literatures, in the description of the creation of this world, the first element, the first factor, the first thing is sound. And then from sound, the other, like solid things and so on. They all manifested from sound. So sound is very foundational. Even in the Bible it says, "In the beginning was the name." Right? How familiar are you with the Bible? We have one. Okay. So that's what it says. In the beginning was the name. So yeah, sound is very foundational. And it's interesting. Different sounds have different effects on our general state of consciousness, just how we feel in our consciousness. Like, if you hear some very soothing music, or even, interesting thing, if you hear the sound of water running, like a stream, something like that, it's very soothing. If you hear, some heavy, loud, roaring rock music, it disturbs the system, the internal system. If you spend a lot of time in the center of a city, like here, right in the center, then there's noise, there's traffic, there's people, there's a lot of talking. Sometimes you go I was in Dubai a few days ago, and I went with the devotee into an electronics shop, supermarket type place, and they had this music playing. And I thought, wow, how can you stay there all day? Some years ago, well, actually about 30 years ago, I was in South Africa, that's where I'm based. And we were fundraising for building a big temple. And we were fundraising in a shopping mall called the Golden Acre in Cape Town. And one day, we were there for like a month or even 6 weeks. One day, they put us in front of the music shop, like the record bar or the CD bar, whatever. And that day, they decided to play a Stevie Wonder song the whole day without break. For like a good 8 hours we were there. Have you ever heard the song, I Just Called to Say I Love You? Did you hear that song? If you didn't, it's okay. I don't think you really missed that much. But we heard it the whole day. It just literally, it just didn't stop for more than like 5 seconds. And when we were going back to where we were staying in the evening, we were trying to chant our mantras as we were traveling along, going on the train. And there I was trying to chant and chant. And then suddenly, I just called to say I love you. I thought, I was never a Stevie Wonder fan anyway, even before that. So I thought, oh, what is this? No, come on. So I sort of kicked it out of my head and went back to my chanting. And then maybe 30 seconds later, I just called to say. It became like a type of not fixation really, but just a pattern, an automatic pattern. The mind was in a groove or in a rut. Anyway, eventually we got out of it. That's good. But the mind. So really though, meditation means to hear spiritual sound vibration. Various other sounds, they have different effects on us. Living in the center of a city, it tends to disturb the consciousness, sort of agitate the consciousness. It becomes like, overly active. And what to speak of if someone says something bad to you. If someone says, you are we will not say, you're all nice. But if someone says something really bad, it disturbs the mind, isn't it? It's easy to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But actually, oftentimes words do hurt us, and they cause great pain sometimes. So this is sound vibration. So sound vibration of different types has different effects. And spiritual sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, has a transcendental spiritual effect in different ways, or there are different aspects to that spiritual effect. The nature of spirit in Sanskrit is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, fully conscious, and full of bliss. These are the characteristics of spirit. So, whereas material things are temporary, they're prone to ignorance, and there may be some pleasure, but not a lot. But there's a lot of difficulty, a lot of pain in material existence, in material experience. But spirit is, and spiritual experience is, eternal, full of consciousness, and full of bliss. amazing, wonderful experience. So, for example, when you hear, if you listen to material sound vibration, like just the music of the day, the popular music, whatever it is, you know, I'm just so out of touch, you might not believe it. I remember the Rolling Stones, are they still alive? Led Zeppelin, and people like that. So, whatever the popular music is today, you can be sure it will not be popular tomorrow, or at least shortly. In the not too distant future, it will not be popular, and rather people will think that, no, had enough of that. Now we need something else. So this is how it works. This is how the music business works. Come out with something new, and then something newer, and then new again. And whatever was popular now, it loses its popularity. But spiritual sound vibration, it has this nature. It is eternal, it is spiritual, it is eternal, and it has that type of effect on you, on us. In other words, at least if you get into it, of course, you know, you have to focus on it and get into it. But if you do that, you'll find that you can sing, chant, speak, whatever, spiritual sound vibration, and it just goes on and on. I mean, you can go on and on and on. So, like, take me as an example. Take me as an example. The Hare Krishna mantra, which Ishwari Priya was singing just a little while ago. I've been chanting that mantra and other mantras, but that's the main one. I've been chanting it for a little more than 40 years, every day. Every day, generally for a minimum of 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours, I would say. 7 days a week for 40 years plus. Seriously. And I like it, and it's getting better, actually. It is getting better. Serious. It's really quite something. But one time, in the end of 1979, I went with another devotee. We visited George Harrison. I imagine you heard of him. So we went and visited him, and he had his ups and downs, but on the whole, he was very, very into mantra meditation. So we were talking about various things for a few hours with him, and he told us the story how he first got into, really got into, sort of like broke through and got into mantra meditation, particularly the Hare Krishna mantra. So he told us he and the other Beatles, they'd been in India a few times actually, and they knew mantras, they knew yoga, and they were into these things. They really liked it. And one day he and John Lennon were on a boat cruise in the Mediterranean, and they woke up one morning about 7 o'clock and they thought, hey, let's chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, let's do it. So they picked up their guitars and they started singing Hare Krishna. And they really got into it. This is 7 o'clock in the morning. So 9 o'clock came and someone knocked on the door and said, breakfast is ready. And they said, okay, fine, we'll see you later. And they carried on. And they really carried on. Then 1 o'clock or so came, and someone came and said, hey, it's lunchtime. They didn't stop. They carried on. And then 6 o'clock or so came, and someone said, hey, you didn't eat all day. Come on, have some dinner. They carried on till 5 the next morning. 22 hours. Yeah. And George said it was such a powerful experience. He'd never had an experience like that before with anything. And he said it convinced him by practical experience. This is something from another dimension. So I asked him, what would it have been like if you had sung one of your Beatles songs for 22 hours non-stop? Now, I don't know how much, this is almost ancient history now, how much you know about the Beatles songs, how many of the songs you know. But I asked him, what would it have been like if you had sung I Want to Hold Your Hand for 22 hours? Have you heard of that song? Yeah. Anyway, it's one of their popular songs. Very popular in its day. What would it have been like if you sang that song for 22 hours? And George laughed, and he sort of momentarily thought, and then he said, well, I think it would have been a hard day's night. Yeah. In other words, it would have been tough. And it would have been tough. Try it. Try it for 40 years. 2, 3, 4 hours a day, sometimes 6 hours a day. See how you manage. See if you can make it for 1 year. We'll give you a prize. But this spiritual sound vibration is different, and it works differently. It operates differently. And of course here we're talking about it, we're explaining a bit about it. But really, ultimately, the thing is, we need to experience it. Because we can say so many things, people say so many things about so many things. But we really need to try it and see what happens. And then you can say, but yes, this is the principle though, the basic idea, that the spiritual sound vibration, mantra, it elevates the consciousness. Our title is Elevation Through Meditation. Now, what do we mean by elevation? Do we mean that one of you nice young ladies in the front is going to suddenly go up to the ceiling? That sort of elevation? Not exactly, although it can happen, but we won't talk about that today. But really what we mean now by elevation is that the quality of consciousness noticeably and objectively actually improves. Improves means that things like lust, anger, greed, fear, all these types of things, arrogance, these types of things, lust, anger, greed, pride, arrogance, fear, these we take to be like, you could say, like pollutions of the consciousness. Just like you have water, you can have polluted water. Some dirt, something gets mixed up with it. You can have polluted air. So many polluted, contaminate, so many things which are otherwise pure and nice can become contaminated. So the consciousness, state of mind, can become polluted and contaminated and even diseased, actually. But now, the effect, we're saying, the effect of spiritual sound vibration, meditation on spiritual sound vibration, is that these, many actually, but these are kind of like very prominent and recognizable, and they're very common types of psychological phenomena which cause difficulty. But these become noticeably eliminated, reduced, gradually reduced, and then actually eliminated. And the consciousness, state of mind, becomes very clear in the sense that you can think clearly and evaluate clearly. Your mind functions nicely without getting sort of hung up about things. And one experiences more and more happiness from within. Not the usual sort of happiness you have to buy a bottle of it. And then if you drink it, it's like the idea is you drink the happiness. The drink goes into you. You feel happy, means you drank some happiness. But that's artificial. We have our own natural happiness within. Unfortunately, it's covered over now because our consciousness is so much prone to just become absorbed in worldly things, absorbed on the worldly level. And in that way we lose contact with certain parts of ourselves to the point that we may become just oblivious to them and become totally unaware that they're actually there, even though they're part of us as persons. So the mantra meditation is really wonderful. At least I can say after 40 years, 365 days a year, and 366 in leap years, and for some hours a day having done it without fail for 40 years plus, I recommend it highly. I recommend it highly. And I say, give it a try for yourselves and see what happens. See what happens. Like everything, you've got to get into it. You've got to get into it. If you just sort of dabble, as they say, jack of all trades, master of none. If you just sort of dabble in different things and you don't really get into anything, then you're just kind of sort of nowhere. So it's like that. We have to make some effort, particularly initially, because initially, we're coming into meditation, mantra meditation, just from the external environment. And our consciousness is very much just in tune with that external environment. And now we're going into something which is quite different to that. So, in order to kind of break through and get a taste for it and really start getting into it, then we may have to make a little bit of an effort. But you have to make an effort for anything, pretty much, anything worthwhile. So these are some ideas on the subject of elevation through meditation. Elevation in the sense of cleaning the pollution in the consciousness. Things like lust, anger, greed, envy, and so on and so forth, and fear. Clean these things out and experience nice, bright, perceptive consciousness and great happiness coming from within. How does it sound to you? Does it sound okay?
Yes.
Sounds good to me, yeah. Okay, so, shall we try it? What do you think? Should I explain what it means?
Yes, please.
Or we just sort of go with the flow? Well, okay. This is a mantra. And this mantra has a meaning. It's a very deep meaning. Hare Krishna prana. That M there is actually an N anyway, such is life. Hare Krishna prana mora yugala kishore. What it means is Radha and Krishna, who are great transcendental, great spiritual personalities. Prana mora, they're my life. Prana means life, or like life breath, like the essence of my life. Mora means life. Yugala Kishore means the divine, the spiritual couple. Youthful couple. Jivane Marane Gati. They are the goal of my life, and for me, Ara Nahi means nothing. For me, there's nothing more. So it's a prayer to these great spiritual personalities, very great, amazing, transcendental personalities, that they may bring us closer to them on the spiritual platform. Okay. Ki Gaur Premanande. What we'll do now, well, we will chant the Maha Mantra as you were doing earlier, just at least when I walked in. Right, there it is. Okay, let's get our tune. Hare Krishna. Is it? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Rama